Hello and greetings to everyone. It's a new project for the night. I've been working on. These are headlights off of my truck. These are some aftermarket headlights that I purchased to replace the really crappy Fleet sealed beam headlight, and they work pretty good. What I'm doing though is I'm doing a modification to them in order to try to resolve some interference issues I have when I turn the lights on, due to the fact that I run HID headlamps. I got a little cover over it to protect it while I have it out, but that's basically how the bulb shows up. Now HIDs really don't have a filament. My phone probably won't focus on that, but there's actually a little glass bulb in there full of gas, and it arcs across it. Well, arcs are really nice way of creating a lot of RF interference. And I do some amateur radio two-way as a hobby, and my mobile unit at night there's a lot of interference on VHF out of the VHF and UHF that it does. It has a lot of interference on VHF whenever I turn my lights on, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to resolve it. Now, because I'm running HID, the harnesses that came in the light, which I have them running around over here somewhere. Where did I put them? Oh, here they are. Oh, let's see here. These are the harnesses that came in there. Now what happened is, on the back side, the way these came, as you see these holes right here for grommets. Well, that grommet stuck through, and then inside, from the inside, was this harness that you would plug into your bulbs, 9007s. It's got a little rubber cap that goes over here. Now the rubber caps are pretty much shot. They hadn't held up that well, and I don't use these because I have HID and they're wired in through their own harness. So while I've been here, I've yanked this, but what happens is that if you notice, they put a junction there and they had another wire run off, and I've clipped the insulation and everything off, but it was on the ground. And so what happened is all these reflectors are the plastic, but they got this vacuumized metal process on them to make them reflective. And so they have, if you look on the back, they have a ground point that actually meets on there. Well, I wanted to get a little more insane than that, so I modified it. This wire actually went to that harness. What I did was I cut it and I soldered it in, and that's covered with some liquid electrical tape just to make sure it doesn't touch anything. But I cut it in two, stripped both ends, soldered it, and then the end that I clipped off, and the other end of it, the other end of this connector is actually a male-female connector, and I put it on the main reflector, because the main reflector didn't have any way to ground it off for shielding. And I got really terrible light here, hold on. So you see the pigtail there, and what I did was probably can't see down in there necessarily, but if you look, this center bulb cover here, it's not, unfortunately it's not really a reflector. I come to find out it's not reflectively painted on the inside or coated, but wish it was. Anyways, this cover right here is screwed in, and what I did was, you can't even see it from here, but I just drilled in the back, right around there, stuck a wire in, and stuck it in between this and the metallized plastic, resecured it, and it comes back around. It will come up to this circuit board here, and what this circuit board is the thing came with decorative LED lighting. This is somebody's cheap imitation of the Harley-Davidson variant headlights that came on the Harley-Davidson edition Super Duties. I liked them. I wasn't necessarily trying to copy anything, but I thought they were pretty good looking. I didn't really care for the LEDs, but I'm going to hook them up now because I need a ground at the very least. You know, I hooked up the other side already to my Parker lamps. Just used a squeeze splice, wire splice to tap in on the harness, and put a couple of crimp connectors on the end for it, and that'll go through the back side through the bushing. But anyway, so hopefully I've done one side. I've noticed a little bit of a difference. Hopefully when I do this is the side closest to where my antenna is. It's the set nearest my antenna. It'll really help. I'm trying to minimize this interference from the HID as much as possible. I like the light, but I really don't like the interference on my two-way radio. Go figure. I've got ferrite coils on all the power. Well, I don't have them on the power, but I have them on the high voltage leads that go to the bulbs, both on the positive and negative, to see if I can try to minimize anything off of that. It's basically a really huge pain in the butt, but we'll see what happens. So hopefully it'll do pretty good. Oh, and those of you that have seen my water softener video, I've fixed the water softener completely and totally, and I'll do an update probably here pretty quick. But so that's my project for this evening, and hope it was useful to somebody. Thanks.